Lug and the giant storks. Oh, let's get this open. Biff and Wilma were making a treacle cake and a big sticky mess. Biff stirred the mixture so hard it went all over Wilma. Oops, she said, sorry. I think you need a bigger bowl, Kipper said helpfully. How about that walk? But Wilma wasn't listening. She was trying to clear up the mess. Floppy helped by licking the drops from the table. Biff went to get Wilma a clean t-shirt. Why don't you use that walk, Wilma? Kipper said again. Then he cried, why don't any of you ever listen to me? I wish they'd listen to him too, thought Floppy. The key on Floppy's collar started to glow. Suddenly Wilma, Kipper and Floppy were whisked into a vortex of dazzling colours and lights. They were spinning round and round, faster and faster. At last they stopped spinning and, wow, we're in a spacewalk, Kipper shouted. It was true. They were in a big, silver, sparkling flying walk. Kipper and Floppy looked out of the window in excitement. Wilma hid. She didn't like heights. Kipper pointed ahead. Look at that enormous planet, he said. Hey, I think we're going to land. The spacewalk landed with a bump and a big slide whizzed to the ground. Floppy and Kipper slid down. Whee! Shouted Kipper, coming to explore Wilma. Wilma peered out of the window and shook her head. No thanks, she said. Wait for me, Floppy, called Kipper. Silly me. The two of them started to explore. Suddenly they heard a funny beeping sound coming towards them. It got louder and louder. Above them was an enormous space stork. Kipper gasped. Run, Floppy, he yelled. They hid behind a rock. The space stork flew closer, still beeping, then it swooped down and picked up the walk with Wilma still inside. Kipper and Floppy watched in horror as the stork flew off, carrying the walk and Wilma to the top of a very tall tree. What were they going to do now? Come back, Kipper yelled at the top of his voice. Suddenly a strange little man appeared. You're wasting your time, he said. They'll never hear you. I've been waving my flag at them for hundreds of years and they've never spotted me. Who are you? Kipper asked. Upperty downerty, hopperty, skipperty, flipperty, spinnerty, jiggerty, Lug's the name, but you can call me Lug, said the little man. I'm a space elf. What can I do for you? My friend's in the space stork's nest, Kipper said sadly. I've got to rescue her. While Kipper told Lug what had happened, Floppy sniffed at the ground. What was that interesting smell? He wandered off to find out. Lug wasn't worried about Wilma. Those space storks only want to play, he said, but Wilma wasn't having a good time at all. Floppy had found the smell. It was coming from a bubble puddle. He bent over to look at himself and his ears dipped into the water. Suddenly, zing! Floppy's ears were huge. The puddle must be magic, but it didn't last long. Do you think it would work for me? Asked Kipper. Only if you're 100 years old, replied Lug. So Kipper dipped his foot into the puddle and zing! His shoe grew enormous. Kipper had an idea. He jumped into the puddle and splashed himself all over. He started to grow and grow. It's working, he said happily. A little voice called to him. It was Lug. Take me with you, please, he said. I'd love to meet those space storks at last. Kipper scooped him up in his giant hand and carried on growing. The space storks were very surprised to see the giant Kipper, but they didn't want to let Wilma go. Leave it to me, said Lug. He jumped into the nest and began to dance and sing. The three storks beeped with delight. Meanwhile, Wilma jumped into Kipper's hand. Just as he started to shrink again, Lug leaned out of the nest and threw his flag down to Kipper. Thanks to you. I don't need this anymore, he called. Kipper pointed at the key round Floppy's neck. The key's glowing, he said. We're going, thought Floppy. They landed back in the Robinsons' kitchen. A bowl of treacle puffer pop cake was on the table. Everyone wanted the first piece. No, said Wilma. Kipper has the first piece for rescuing me. Yes, agreed Kipper, smiling. Who's the giant round here anyway? He dug into his pocket, pulled out Lug's flag and stuck it on top. Hooray! They all cheered. The end.